Okay. So, thinking it's just the rules of, okay. So, with this upper. No, on me. That's, they put that bulletin, they already put the bulletin up. That's what I know.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good morning. This is Brian Farkas. Also checking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we're ready to proceed.
Okay. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings in according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand
Mr. Gallagher,
feature.
could you hear me?
Yes. Before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with the participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activities being recorded by way of the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed by way of YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter by way of our website and email have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Ms. Ashton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we could verify it's being live streamed.
Yes, it's being live streamed.
Thank you, Maureen. So this, Mr. Chairman, as the city does at each time since the beginning of the pandemic, we do object to the use of the chat function as we have it each time based upon the rules promulgated by the Ohio Supreme Court at the beginning of the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Calling the roll.
Yes.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley, Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay. We'll
Yes,
call
sir.
the.
One
go ahead.
second. Sound like we have some sort of technical issues going on. That's Mr. Bradley. I see Mr. Dink. 1 second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Was he here for the pre-meeting? Yeah. Okay. He's there. What's going on?
Can you hear me, Mr. Gallagher?
There he
Yes.
is. Okay. Thank you. And I didn't hear, did you hear Mr. Dink? I see him, if he could just say hi. Mr. Dink, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, we ready?
Yes.
Okay, we'll call the first docket A13622, 740 East 125th Street.
Good morning. This is Attorney Brian Farkas.
Hold on, Mr. Farkas, for just a moment.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is a condemnation of the main structure issued on August 26th of 2022. Appeal statement received September 22nd of 2022, requesting for time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vandover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston Law. Would the appellate or his or her attorney or representative please state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Attorney Brian Farkas of the law firm of Vorey, Sater, Seymour, and Pink. My firm represents the appellant, Community Loan Servicing.
Can you
Okay.
please mute your microphone until you are called?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we'll need you on, Mr. Farkas. But anyways, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God? Yes. That was for you, Mr. Farkas?
Yes.
Okay, we're all set. Well, go ahead and let us know what your plans are.
So this appeal was filed in September. This property was purchased by my client earlier in the year via foreclosure. A week before purchasing this property, it is my understanding the property did sustain fire damage. My client filed this appeal after receiving the notice of violation, requesting 6 months from September 22nd to look at all its options for either rehabbing this property, demoing this property, etc. It is my understanding that they have taken the steps to secure this property, at least the external boarding of the property to keep it secure. With respect to the direction my client has informed me they want to go is to demo the property. They believe that is the best course of action at this time. So they have laid out the following steps to do that. They have ordered an asbestos survey that will take, they expect to get the results of that back in the next 7 to 14 days.
One second. What is going on? Who's Mike?
Do you have more to say on that, Mr. Farkas?
Yes.
Now bend over. You have 2 mics open, and we're getting a horrible feedback.
Yes, we don't know. Is that from your office, Mr. Farkas?
I don't believe so, Mr.
Okay, well, we need everybody other than Mr. Farkas to mute your phones, mute your devices. Okay, go ahead and continue.
All right. So as I was saying, my client has ordered an asbestos survey to understand prior to doing the demo what abatement, if any, is needed of the asbestos that could be in the property. They should get those results in 7 to 10 days. Step 2 of the demo process is they need to ensure that there are no outstanding water or sewer bills on the property, and also to pull 3 separate permits: hydrant, sewer, and demo. It's my understanding those can take from anywhere to 4 to 7 business days to get approval. And then finally, once they've gotten the asbestos survey completed, and once they have received the requisite permits, they do plan to demo the property, which they have been told would take between 3 or 4 weeks, depending on the weather, but probably closer to 3 weeks.
You all set?
Yes, Mr. Geller.
Okay. Mr. Vanover.
So, and I apologize. I was having technical issues. So, what is the ask other than so more time? If it's more time, how much more time?
So I asked my client that same exact question. They told me at this point they're moving as quickly as possible, but since they don't have the results of the asbestos survey, they don't know how long in exact weeks this is going to take to complete. Because if the property passes, then we're looking at 2 months for the whole process. But if it doesn't pass, it's going to be a longer route, and that we will only know. We probably will know for sure on timing of once we receive the asbestos results of the survey in 2 weeks. So we would still would like an extension to get this all completed. I just to be just in the spirit of being completely candid, as much as I wanted to be able to give the board an exact time frame because of the asbestos survey issue and the not knowing the results of what those are going to be, I can't provide an exact timeline.
So if I may ask, Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, when did your client take possession of this property?
They bought it at a foreclosure sale early in the year. I don't know the exact date. They've had they received this violation notice, I believe, in late August of 2022.
Okay, but they took possession they bought the property earlier this year in an auction?
Yes, that's my understanding of foreclosure sale.
Okay, so I don't. I mean, I don't run their business, but there's an expectation. I mean, they knew the condition that it was in when they purchased it, and that obviously informed the cost of the purchase. We don't object to more time, but Mr. Chairman, we would ask for no more than 90 days.
Okay. And again, if there's a reason, such as they find out that it's loaded with asbestos and you're going to need more time, then you're going to need to get back or to come back to get more time for that issue. But if with all that being, let's say it comes back good, you have very little to do, then 90 days you should be able to finish it all, given your other dates that you said that it would take in order to actually do the demoing. So you had mentioned 3 weeks at max. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So motion is in order to give till March 8th, 2023. That would be 90 days to abate the violation.
So moved.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Dank, second by Mr. Bradley.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Gallagher.
Okay, your notice will be sent out within 2 weeks. Thank you.
Mr. Gallagher, do you need me to stay on for the rest of the hearing, or am
No.
I excused?
No, you're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so docket A 13722 has been withdrawn, so we're moving on to docket A 14722, 13180 Puritas.
Applications and fees are in order. Notice of violation is interior and exterior maintenance, issued on September 8th of 2022. Appeal statement receipt, October 7th of 2022, requesting for time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Venover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston Law. With the appellant or his or her attorney or representative, please state your name for the record.
Good morning, board members. Joe Straka, attorney for the appellant Wolf Pintus Puritas LLC.
Okay, Mr. Straker, would you kindly solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and let us know what your plans are.
All right. This problem seems a lot less severe than the prior one, so I'm happy for that, certainly. The situation is that there were 10 items on the inspector's notice of deficiencies. I'm happy to report that all of them, except for the asphalt situations, that's items 5 through 10, have either been completed or are 95% completed. It is my understanding that Inspector Derrick was supposed to go out yesterday to the property. I believe she did not hook up with the manager. I do know that there was a police involvement for an unruly tenant there yesterday. That may have been an issue in hooking up with anyone. I know the police were out there. But back to this situation. We have been trying to get contractors out to work on the parking lot and fix the asphalt. It's going to require a complete a redo of the asphalt. Contractors, as the board members might know, are very difficult to find, and good ones are even harder to find. We at this point, though, I'm happy through a sister property, we do have a contractor that we are working a deal with. However, at this point, given the weather, they've advised because of the requirements of laying asphalt. I'm certainly not up to speed on that, but I believe it's got to be above a certain temperature. They've advised they're not even going to try to lay anything until April. So at this point, members of the board, given the situation that most of the items, not really the asphalt, either done or completely done, waiting for inspection, we'd ask that in order to give our contractor the time to do the asphalt when it's proper in April, we'd ask for an extension of time through April, preferably through May. Even though April comes up, then all these concrete contractors are going to be jammed up. We have our place in line, I'm sure, but I'd always like to build in a little buffer if possible. So we'd ask through the end of May to get these the asphalt matters resolved, and the rest of it should be done soon, if not already. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Vanover.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking through. I don't have a report from Inspector Derritt. She and I did discuss this, and she did indicate that there was going to be a follow-up inspection. I would not object to a May 1st date to complete the asphalt in the parking lot with a January 1st date to complete all other violations based on what the appellant has indicated. So January 1st to complete all violations with the exception of May 1st for the parking lot. But failure to meet that January 1st date remands it back to the Department of Building and Housing.
Okay, that sounds doable.
If everything we've heard is accurate, then there's no issue.
All right, Mr. Straker, that's what we're going to do. May 1st, 2023, to complete the asphalt part of the project, and June 1st, 2023, to abate all violations. Motion in order.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
January 1st.
You said June.
Oh, I'm sorry. January 1st. Is that what would have to be into the? You mean the other things that he says are done, right? Is that
Correct.
what we're going with the January 1st, 30 days to complete that?
Correct.
Somewhere in there. Okay.
Yes.
All right. January 1st to complete that, and then May 1st for the asphalt.
Correct.
Okay. Motion is in order.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Bradley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dank.
Oh, there she is.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yeah.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, you'll be notified within 2 weeks. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, board members.
Next docket. The next docket, A14822, has been withdrawn. So we're going to move on to docket A12422, 10713 Manor Avenue.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is interior exterior maintenance, issued on August 8th of 2022. Appeal received September 1st of 2022, requesting for time to abate the violation. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston Law. With the appellants or owners for this property, please state your name for the record.
Randolph Wade.
You gotta say a little louder so they can hear.
Randolph.
Jesse Wade.
I'm getting a lot of feedback on that. Who's on the line to represent?
They're here in person,
They're here.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh. Solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
I do.
Okay, very good. Go ahead and let us know what your plans are.
Well, before we had it went down, but how we're going into a couple weeks ago. And they took out all the plumbing in the basement. I got a police report I did it down, yeah.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, to the appellant, sir, you're saying you completed the corrections?
No, on that, the sugar right there,
Uh-huh.
that been done,
So-
that been done.
And then it was
All
vandalized?
been done, got pictures, we still take pictures.
Okay, and then you said somebody came in and took out the plumbing after that?
Yeah, they came in, see, we,
house
I
was
was thinking, the weekend thing, I don't know what time we were in, but I went about there Monday, the door broken in. And, I went down there, my son here from Tennessee, went down there and on the plumber turned out.
And did you make a police report?
I made a full report,
Okay,
but, I got, taken out, but they there, but, they both came out after the news, they got the 4 o'clock, and the company didn't come out. All that week, I found, but they got put it on.
and did you speak with your inspector at all? Were you able to talk to the inspector at all on this property? Mr. Dave, Ms. Julian Davis left, I think. Mr. Vanover, Mr. Davis is no longer with the city, correct?
That is correct. It would be his chief, Eddie Sugar.
Okay, so, we need to make sure they get that, I'll get to that information through Carmella. So you'll need to talk to the inspector on that. Mr. Eddie Sugar, S-U-G-A-R, do you have his extension, Tom? Is he a 664?
Not readily, but 664-2000 will get you to Eddie Sugar.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, they're testifying that they made corrections and then someone came in, and vandalized and they made a police report.
Okay,
And I
so,
gave Carmella some information that she was making a copy of. So, to the appellant, sir, how much more time do you need to correct what was vandalized?
Well,
the copper, pipes were, was what they were after, and they took that out. And so,
so I'm in the process of selling the place.
Is it occupied?
No,
It's not occupied, okay.
I had some offers for it, buy that either.
well, we go back to Mr. Vanover and see what you think time-wise or a remand till they get this figured out. Mr. Vanover?
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, this sounds like an unfortunate situation with the plan to do, really just to sell it. I would recommend this to the senior initiative, except for the fact that it's a rental home. But so I would not object to 90 days to abate the violations, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
In that time, I will make a referral to senior initiative if they can help, if they cannot help. But ultimately, this is an investment property and needs to be corrected. And I don't object to that 90 days with the understanding that the property is vacant and will remain vacant until such time as it is the violations are abated.
Okay, so we're gonna give 90 days of March 8th, 2023 to abate all the violations, and with one caveat that it remains vacant until all of the violations have been abated. Motion so in order.
So move.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bradley,
Second.
second by Mr. Dank.
He told me to take a picture. I did, and,
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yeah.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, a notice will be sent within 2 weeks. Thank you.
You have, if you could.
Give us 1 second, Mr. Chairman.
Right?
Sure.
Ms. Aston?
Remain vacant.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, next docket, A2622, 3375 West 91st Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is no permit issued on September 1st of 2022. Appeal statement received September 6th of 2022, requesting for time to correct the violation. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston Law. With the appellant or his or her attorney or representative, please state your name for the record.
Marcelo Montilla.
Okay, Mr. Montiel, will you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, go ahead and let us know what your plans are.
Okay, the inspector went to the house. I tried just to fix the porch. I tried to do safety first. He went there to take pictures, and I was there that day. He saw that what I was doing, and I'm open to whatever suggestion or whatever thing the court decided in my case.
Okay, did you get a permit?
No, sir, I didn't have, because I was doing the job, me and my nephew.
Okay, I'm looking at the pictures. I mean, the job looks good, but you have to have a permit. So I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Vanover, and he's probably gonna tell you the same thing, but anyways, Mr. Vanover.
So yeah, Mr. Chairman, it is a no permit violation notice, and I mean, ultimately it's a matter of making application for the permit showing the work that was done. It looks like, Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, it looks like you just purchased this property.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
accurate?
Yes, sir.
Do you, Mr. Chairman of the appellate, do you live in this property?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Chairman, I don't know what the ask is. I think it's a matter of literally walking down the hall as an owner occupant. He can pull the permit himself for the work that was done by him. It's just a matter of showing what work was done.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, to the appellant, sir, how long do you need to get a permit, to go and make application and get a permit for
To
this?
be honest with you, I didn't know that I have to have one. I just try to
do something better to the house because it's an old house and
Right, it's structure, it looks like it's it's egress, so it's required, and the work looks like it's required as Mr. Vanover says. So if you could even go down there today.
yeah,
Try, oh,
yeah. If I have that information,
okay, so you could go down to 505 and make application after this hearing.
yes, ma'am.
If
So,
it's-
Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, what information are you looking for?
To have the permit because I didn't know that I have to have one. It's like
I understand, but the inspector explained to you the day that he came out that you needed a permit, correct?
yes, yeah.
Okay. So it's just so you'll need to show a plan and a drawing of what you're rebuilding and what you're putting into place. And then it's if you walk down to 505, they'll show you the application, but you'll need drawings because there are structural changes. So you'll need to show what posts you used, what floor joists you used, and then you'll need to get pull the permit and get it inspected.
Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vanover, can he draw that himself, or does he have to have somebody else draw that?
No, he can draw that as long as it's legible and we can read it. So there's no requirement for an architect or an engineer on residential property, but it has to be of such clarity that we can review it.
Yeah, so even with the pictures that you have to just tell what you used.
Mr. Chairman, there may be a bit of a language barrier issue here, so I just want to verify. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Good, okay. Well, I don't think it's gonna take a lot of time.
Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, it looks like you just replaced it with what was already there.
Did you replace like for like?
Yes, I just try to it's a very old house. So the way I did, if you see, it's almost the same. The only thing that I changed was the siding in front. I put a stone. If you see it in the picture, that's the only thing that the house have different. But the other stuff, I just put new ones.
But you're talking about the stone on the facade of the building itself, not the porch, correct?
Yeah, the porch,
Okay.
but it wasn't.
You didn't put siding back up, you put stone up.
That's the only thing the house have, different.
Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Vanover, yes, I'm hearing him say yes to your question.
Okay, so what kind of time do you think we're looking at here? 2 weeks? I mean, you've got to get an inspector out there to relook at it, and he's got to walk down the hall and get the permit. What are you thinking, Mr. Vanover?
The violation notice is for no permit. So once he secures the permit, then the violation will be closed. I believe the stonework is the column that the one of the support columns. However, that being said, I would not have. I think it's going to take closer to 30 days, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, sounds good. We'll do that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, Helen like to make a request.
Okay,
Can I have that 90 days, please? Because
He said, can he have 90 days?
90.
Because why?
We are in holiday, Christmas, and
Oh, there's in Greece?
Christmas.
Oh, for Christmas. When are they leaving?
No.
I don't think they're going anywhere. I think it's just a request for the holidays.
Oh,
So, Mr. Chairman, I think that again with the applicant being in the building, that application can get made today, and with some communication from the folks at room 505, I think 30 days is sufficient. It's not required. There's no violation for not getting it inspected. Once you get the permit, you can have as much time as you need to complete it. But it looks like it's already completed and get it inspected. It's just a matter of getting the permit.
Yeah, his work's kind of done except for getting the permit. That's pretty much what it looks like.
So making application for the permit is,
Yeah, that's
easy.
today.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to stay with January 6th, 30 days, 2023, to, well, you'll be abating the violation by getting the permit. Motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bradley,
Second.
second by Mr. Dank.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, you'll be notified in 2 weeks. Thank you. You're all set.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Davis, he could go down and talk to Connie Tatum.
Yeah, we can get him shuffled in the right direction, then he'll be all set. Okay, so are you ready to go, Ms. Davis?
We're ready to go.
Okay, next docket, A 14422, 3469 East 50th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is condemnation of the main structure issued on September 20th of 2021. Appeal statement was received October 6th of 2022, requesting for time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston Law. With the appellant or his or her attorney or representative, please state your name for the record.
Mr. Chairman, if you swear in Mr. Vanover, I'll do my inquiry.
Hey, Mr. Vanover, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
There's no Nicholas Jackson on record. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Ms. Davis. Ms. Davis, did you receive any, did the notice of today's public hearing get returned to the board's file for any reason?
Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Aston, no.
Thank you. And did you receive any communication, telephone, voice message, call, email, fax, et cetera, from anyone on behalf of this docket?
Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Aston, no.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. About due process notice having been given to this appellant who looks like it's a new owner of this property, the board can proceed. Thank you. Anticipate we're going to ask to deny and remand. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Vanover.
So, Mr. Chairman, it appears that there's been 3 certificates of disclosure issued on this property this year. So this is a condemnation from, I believe, 2017. The city has boarded this property as early as late 2000. There's 3 certificates of disclosure. So it appears that the goal of this property owner is to sell this property. So we would ask that you deny any more time, remand it back to the Department of Building and Housing with no further extensions.
Okay, we'll do that. So a motion is in order to deny more time and remand the property to the Division of Building and Housing for any further action. Motion,
So moved.
Mr. Dank,
Second.
second by Mr. Bradley.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes, notice will be sent out in 2 weeks. Okay, next docket. A 14522, 3735 East 69th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is a condemnation of the main structure issued on September 7th of 2022. Appeal received October 7th of 2022. Request made to more time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston Law. With the owner or his or her representative or attorney, please state your name for the record.
Yes, Thomas Drost.
Okay, Mr. Droust, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and let us know what your plans are.
Okay, this is a back house I have behind my main structure that I live in. And it went into disrepair, and I want to get it demoed, but I just don't have the money to do it right now. And it's totally fenced in and totally secure. But I contacted the city about getting help, and they helped because I'm a senior. I work 2 jobs. I just don't have the money to do it right now. And I'm hoping, you know, I contacted Councilman Brancatelli at the time, and there's just nothing out there for, you know, to get help. There's help to fix homes, but nothing to demolish them. So
Okay, all right,
kind
well,
of
let's
stuck
go.
there now.
We'll do that. We'll go over to Mr. Vanover and see what we can do.
So, Mr. Chairman, what is the ask? I mean, it's more time, but how much more time?
Well, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm hoping to
Go ahead.
get some money near the first of the year. If you give me till like spring, till like May 1st, if possible.
So, Mr. Chairman of the appellate, just to reiterate, you live in the front home?
Yes, I live in the front home, and the back home is empty. Right, it's, you know, it was like a mother-in-law house, just like a cottage.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman, do
And
they share a parcel? Are they on the same permanent parcel?
I'm not sure of that. Yeah, I think so because it's listed as back house.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, do you pay one tax bill or 2?
Just one.
Okay, so that would indicate that they are on the same parcel. Mr. Chairman, we, as an owner occupied, and being that this is secured and protected in the back of his residence, the photographic evidence, my concern is that the winter may do, you know, and it may demolish the structure for you. It looks like it's that close. So we don't object to, say, 120 days to abate the violation notice.
Okay. Okay, so 120 days will take you to April 7th, 2023, to abate the violations. Hopefully you'll have the funds or whatever. It'll fall down and be less trouble to get rid of it. Okay.
Right.
All righty.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion is in order for April 7th.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Bradley,
Second.
second by Mr. Dank. Call the roll.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yeah.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, next docket, A 14922, 3859 West 19th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is interior and exterior maintenance, issued on September 20th of 2022. Appeal statement received October 11th of 2022, requesting for time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston Law. With the owner or the representative of the appellant, please state your name for the record. I don't see a Richard Morgan on, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, if you swear in Mr. Vanover, I'll do my inquiry.
Okay, Mr. Vanover, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Ms. Davis, did the notice of this public hearing for this docket get returned to the board's file for any reason?
To the chairman, to Ms. Aston, no.
Thank you. And did you receive any communication on behalf of this docket or this appellant by phone, mail, voicemail, email, fax, etc.?
The chairman, to Ms. Aston, no.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Notice not having been returned and apparent good service on this docket, you've met the due process requirements to proceed. I anticipate Mr. Vanover saying you'd ask to uphold, deny, remand. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Vanover.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is a although the violation notice is somewhat recent, we've been receiving complaints for this structure since 2021. So it appears that it's been vacant for some time. We would ask that you deny and remand it back to the Department of Building and Housing for further action.
Okay, motion is in order to deny more time and remand the property Division of Building and Housing for any further actions. So move.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Dank.
Ms. Linscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, notice will be sent within 2 weeks. Next docket, A 15022, 3828 East 55th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is no permit. Issued on September 26th of 2022. Appeal statement received October 9th of 2022, requesting for time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston, Law. With the appellant or his or her attorney or representative, please state your name for the record. Mr. Chairman, I do not see a D'Angelo Lee. Law.
If you would swear, Mr. Vanover, I'll make my inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Vanover solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Ms. Davis, did the notice of today's public hearing for this docket get returned to the board's file for any reason?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Aston, no.
Thank you. And did you receive any communication on behalf of this docket or this appellant, any voicemail, email, fax, et cetera?
Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Aston, no.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Due process notice having been given and not returned to this board, you have the right to proceed. I anticipate Mr. Vanover is going to ask that you uphold, deny, and remand. Thank you.
Excuse me, this is Waverly. This gentleman called several times this morning. He's having trouble trying to get in. I gave him the phone number and I guess he still can't get in. He said he could hear it, but he's not able to talk.
So that changes things. Mr. Chairman, if the.
Hello.
Is that
Hello.
Hello.
Ask you to call
Yes,
in.
I hit pound 6 instead of *6. Sorry.
Is this Mr. D'Angelo Lee?
Yes.
Okay. If you could swear him in, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Angelo, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and let us know what your plans are.
Actually, I'm in the planning stages right now with the architect.
Okay, how much time do you think you need to abate the violation?
Actually, we're in the process, and he and I are actually physically at the property now. I've had a little time in coming up with a good architect. I believe I found one, and we're starting to try to get a baseline as of today in order to move forward.
Okay.
And he
All
is
right.
present right now.
Okay.
Hello, it's Craig Dixon. I'm here with him right now. I know
If you
the
could
people
swear
down
in
there.
If you could swear in the architect, Mr. Chairman, if he's going to give testimony, thank you.
Okay, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead, proceed.
Okay, I'm out here looking at the project. We're gonna come out, measure it up, see what has to be done structurally, address what's already been begun, and take it from there with Mr. Lee.
Okay, you have any idea on time?
The foundations.
I'm hoping that we can push this until early next year. I'm not sure how long it takes to get the plans together, to mobilize a team, get everybody on the contract, pull permits, do the vetting and all of that scheduling stuff involved in construction projects. But as soon as we can get that together, we can provide, a start date and a plan. But right now, we're definitely in the planning stages.
Okay. All right, because I'm seeing a no permit on here, but was that something that was done before?
No, that's the
Yeah,
violation.
I think the idea there is just to button up the house to keep out the rodents and, possible, vandalism because it had a external exposure. The house was purchased basically on scene through a Cleveland auction.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, to the appellant, is this occupied or vacant?
It's vacant.
Okay, let's go over to Mr. Vanover.
So, Mr. Chairman, the violation under appeal is a no permit. So I think that especially now that Mr. Dixon's involved, the permit could be applied for quickly. I will point out that this came from a complaint from the neighborhood for the work going on. Obviously, the condition of the house is continuing to be an issue as well. This is a corporately owned property. It's owned by Square One Home Solutions. So as you've heard me say before, as an investment property, there's an expectation that this is the business and that there's a heightened understanding of the laws. So the work that was done without a permit should have, obviously required one. So I understand that, there's a time frame that is required to get plans together and get a permit applied for, but those were not secrets. Those were decisions that were made as part of the purchase of this. So we would ask for a shortened time frame to make application and get the permits.
Okay, so that's the violation that's before us, is the permit. So that's what we're gonna have to handle right now. And so, we're gonna ask.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Dixon, is 60 days enough time to get the drawings completed and for submission to the building department?
Yes, that is good. That's adequate.
So with the understanding that the property will remain secured, then the yard cleaned up and in good condition for, any debris that may be around, and that all work has stopped, we don't object to 60 days, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and you want a final out on this, 6 months or something?
No, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
it's a no permit. We will monitor it under the Residential Code of Ohio.
Okay, very good. All right, so we're gonna give you the February 6th, 60 days, 2023, to submit plans to the city. Motion?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Dank. Second by Mr. Bradley.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay. Notice will be sent out within 2 weeks. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, next docket is docket A 19722 2439 Tremont Street.
Application and fees are in order.
Skipped one.
This is an adjudication order. Number B as in boy 160242202.
Which one?
Next screen, Maurice.
Oh, we're not doing the church?
Yeah, it's been rescheduled. Docket 12022 has been rescheduled to February 15th of 2022.
Gotcha.
23, I'm sorry. We're on docket A 19722 adjudication order. Did you want to finish calling it out, Mr. Chairman?
Good, yes, A 19722 2439 Tremont Street.
Again, application and fees are in order. This is an adjudication order to the Ohio Building Code 903.2.8. and Ohio Building Code 108.6.3. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton Law, Lieutenant Taliban from the Division of Fire. Will the appellant or his or her representative please state your name for the record?
Michael, you guys can go first.
Michael Nance, sole owner of Van Properties, Cleveland, present.
Dan Bickerstaff, architect with Ubiquitous Design.
Okay.
Is that everybody?
Excuse me, can I just have 5 minutes or 2 minutes before we continue? I'm on the phone with the fire inspector, and I believe he's going to come up to room 514.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
We'll recess for 2 minutes, please.
This is Captain Telvin. Lieutenant Whitekey is here with me at my computer. He was the inspector at the address.
Thank you.
Okay, I apologize. I was not aware that you were on, Captain Talbin. So we can't continue. There's no need to bring the lieutenant up. So we can move on.
Okay, very good. All right, everyone giving testimony they've said their names. I need you to solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God. Get an
I do.
affirmative.
I do.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I guess we'll start with the appellants. So who's ever going to be talking first over on your side?
Sure, Mike. I don't know if you want to give an overview, but I can sort of jump right in.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
if I may, because of the unique condition of this, I would like to at least lay some groundwork to begin with.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Vanover.
So this was a property that was previously a condemned structure that was vacant, and it was purchased for the purpose of rehab. Application was made, plans were submitted to convert what was a single-family home into a 4-family home. It was reviewed by the Department of Building and Housing, and it was, and we issued a plan approval. For whatever reason that I can't explain, during that plan review, it was not routed to the Division of Fire for comments at that time. And so it was approved by the Department of Building and Housing, and a plan approval was issued. They constructed the project. Upon final inspection, it was determined that the structure does not meet the Ohioized specific exception for sprinkler systems, even though it was approved by the Department of Building and Housing without them. So an adjudication order was issued for the property because it doesn't meet, my understanding is two conditions of that exception, being that an exterior stair is required and that the exception does not allow for 3 stories, a 3-story building. And this is a 3-story structure. There's a final unit that doesn't have an exterior stair, unit number 4, and it is on the 3rd story. That 3rd story is at 21 feet from grade, but it is a 3rd story and therefore doesn't meet the exceptions. That's why the adjudication order was issued, and that's why we're here.
Okay, and I guess maybe a question to you, Mr. Vanover, but if you have a 3rd floor, if you had an outside egress from the 3rd floor, would it meet it? Or is it still out?
Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, this property was not submitted as a Chapter 34 exception review for existing buildings. It was submitted under Section 903.8 of the building code, which requires specific conditions in order to not sprinkler it. Those conditions include both an exterior stair and up to two, not more than 2 stories. So under the letter of the code, it would be required that both conditions exist for this exception. The Ohio Administrative Code requires that when work is found to be in compliant with the plan approval, but is a but not approved, not but does not comply with the code, that we issue an adjudication order and a determination to be made if there's an immediate hazard or serious hazard.
All right, so I guess we're going back over to the appellants and go ahead and state your case.
Sure, Mike, I can just launch into it. Thank you, Mr. Chair and commission members. Mr. Vanover gave a pretty succinct overview. If you can go back to the first page, Maurice. The building in reference is the building on the right. You can see it's a 4-square masonry building with the hip roof. And what we did while we were going through our code review analysis, we knew that we needed to provide additional egress from that 3rd floor in question. So we provided, if you can go to the next sheet, next is the site plan I'm looking for. Continue. One more, I believe. Yeah, one more, Maurice. That's where we have the site plan. So you can see the building in question is the lower structure, where you can see the multi-tiered hip roof. And if you go to the next one, Maurice, I'll show you the dormers and how we sought to mitigate the egress. We provided 2 new dormers at the roof level, which also contain egress windows that meet code. We did, in fact, design and construct an exterior stair from the 2nd floor, which helps in terms of exiting the 3rd floor internally, because we also built a new interior floor, which is enclosed with 1-hour fire rated drywall. Next. I can just, next sheet, Maurice. I can just show you the plans. Okay. The 3rd floor, which is mislabeled 2nd floor, is the one to the right. So we have a open living space at the lower portion of the plan and a bedroom at the upper portion of the plan, where we provided the 2 new egress dormers. And if you look at the 2nd floor in the middle, those stairs, the 2 stairs to the, I guess, to the bottom of the sheet are the new stairs previously mentioned. An internal stair with fire rated drywall that leads you directly to the exterior of the building and down and out to the rear of the property. So those are the strategies that we implemented to mitigate any egress issues while in our interpretation of the code 903.8. So again, Mr. Vanover mentioned going through this process with the city officials, we obtained the necessary approvals to move forward with the construction and completed that work. And we actually have occupancy permits for the 1st and 2nd floor. And more importantly as well, in our review of the exceptions, it focused on a structure with 1 exit. But as you can see on the 1st floor, we have 2 exits, 1 per each unit there. And then on the 2nd floor, we have direct egress to the rear, as previously mentioned. And Mike, I don't know if you want to address anything, but we spent a great deal of time trying to work through that.
Thanks. And Commissioner Vanover for the overview. I'd just like to make a couple of points. One, high level, we've spent an immense amount of money reconstructing, rehabbing this structure. It was built in 1864. It was the former pastoral residence for the local Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church. We've spared no expense and followed every requirement set forth by the city. During the plan approval process, we received feedback requiring additional parking because this was a 4-unit structure. We promptly complied. We went above and beyond, put in drainage systems. It is now a beautiful building. We've got great tenants on site. So we're very proud of the building and the work we put into it and the fact that we've complied with all requests by the city. Additionally, this building was made green energy compliant and will be eligible for the 15-year tax abatement. I say all this to say any shortcomings in this project are not a result from a lack of diligence on our part. And, you know, we just ask that that be taken into consideration as we think about this structure. Moreover, and finally, going much more to the substance of the structure, it is unique in that it has a totally partitioned 4th unit. Commissioner Vanover mentioned this, so it's not a typical 4-unit structure. One unit is totally excised by a masonry wall, has its own entrance and exit, and each of the 1st and 2nd floor, the 1st floor has its own 2 exits, and the 2nd floor and the 3rd floor each have 2 means of egress, in addition to the 3rd floor having 2 dormers that provide a means of egress. So there's ample room for movement in this building in case of an emergency, and we have equipped the 3rd floor unit with a fire extinguisher for additional safety measure. So those are the comments that I would like to add, but thank you.
Just curiosity, where are
Mr.
the
Chairman, if I
dormers?
may,
What?
very quickly, if I may, very quickly, this is Patty, before you get to that. Mr. Chairman, I feel the need to protect the city based upon a few of the statements there, or at least clear the record that the architect has said that it was mislabeled. So it was missed by both the appellant as well as the city. And if I could ask, the statement was they've spent a great deal of money, which we're thankful for them to put in and make all of these improvements and be eligible for whatever tax abatements. But the city would ask, how much would it cost to put in a residential sprinkler system if they run those numbers? Because I think that's important. I believe fire is going to want to be heard based upon the hazard, and a serious hazard for a 3rd floor having to go into the 2nd floor prior to getting egress out. Because it's not just if there's an emergency on the 3rd floor, but if there's an emergency on the 2nd floor, that egress could be trapped or blocked off, I think is going to be fire's concern. But I would like, fire will make those comments to the board specifically, but if we could inquire as to the cost to becoming compliant, I think that is important because this board has heard in various times that it is not that expensive for residential, water changes have to be done, et cetera, to the lines coming in for a residential line. Thank you.
Okay, so the other question is, have you looked into what it would cost to sprinkle?
We have. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say it depends on what the requirement is because there's a range there. If it's the whole building, it's going to be one cost. If it's the 3rd floor only, that's going to be a different cost. But the quote that we received was tens of thousands of dollars. Because we do have the occupancy permit for the 1st and 2nd floors, it would also entail quite a bit of disruption for existing tenants in those 3 units.
Okay, so we have something there, a ballpark, many ways to go from. All right, let's go over to fire and let's hear what. Have you talked to fire?
Maurice, can you go to the elevation, please? Propose. Next one. Thank you.
Okay, and I think I had a question just prior. If you come out the dormer, where does that leave you to?
The roof.
Beyond the roof.
Yes, in the rear, the roof of the rear unit.
Okay. That wouldn't give you access to the ground, right?
No, we would
would
believe
just-
that fire would have access with their ladders.
Okay, so it's just a way to get out of the building, okay.
Correct.
All right, that was just a question okay, so, Captain Talbot?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn over to Lieutenant Wakey, who is at the site, and he can better explain, the situation.
Okay,
Good morning. Just a point of clarification on the windows. Those windows are required, so it wasn't like an additional safety feature. The windows that were put in don't meet the requirements of Ohio Building Code Section 1030. The height of the from the sill is in excess of 44 inches. So even with those windows there, an occupant would not be able to get out that window unless they're of substantial height. As far as the staircase coming down, it doesn't go directly to the outside. If you come down from that third floor, you enter into a second floor hallway. And, as far as Cleveland Fire, our concern is that it doesn't meet the minimum conditions for safe occupancy required by the Ohio Building Code. The code's the minimum. The minimum condition is a sprinkler system throughout. That's what we're requesting.
so the request is that the whole building must be sprinkled.
But yeah, the code requires that. Limited area sprinkler systems are only for garbage chutes, mechanical spaces. Dwelling units, it'd be required to be sprinkled throughout.
Okay. So outside of putting in a sprinkler system for the whole building, is there anything else that they can do that would make it possible to accept the situation? Is there any other?
No, I mean, the code is clear. It's, the code's the minimum and the code is defined what makes an occupancy safe, which would be a sprinkler system on that.
Mr. Chairman, we would defer to Mr. Biggerstaff on that because we don't do the drawings, we review them as a regulating agency as to any possible
Right.
solutions. Thank you.
Right.
So, I apologize. I was kicked from the meeting. And this is Tom Van. Unfortunately, I missed Ms. Aston's statements, but to pick up on what Mr. Inspector Wakey has said, there's some things that I think that as the building official, I have to say that you're right. The building code does require it to be sprinkled because it's an R use. That is clear. As I said, this is not a Chapter 34 review for the structure. To the appellate's testimony, we reviewed it, we adjudicated it. This is very rare. We adjudicated it. We went back and forth, and ultimately they were issued a plan approval. So the letter of the code absolutely requires this to be sprinklers. Had a 34 review been done, that would have been a different story, but it wasn't. And to Ms. Aston's point, yes, our responsibility is to review and what was actually presented for compliance. But the building code also says that, in chapters 108 and 109, that if hazards are found after approval and after construction, the responsibility of the building official is to issue an adjudication order and to a determination of whether or not is it unsafe condition or serious hazard. And I believe that that's really where we're at this point in the appeal hearing, is that determination of serious hazard. And that's what's before the board is it's not sprinkled. The code requires it to be sprinkled unless it meets those exceptions. The two exceptions portions of the exceptions that are not met is that it is on the third floor and that the stair from the third floor unit is not entirely an exterior stair. There's portion of an enclosed stairwell that you go down half a level before you get to the exterior stair. I believe Mr. Bickerstaff gave testimony that that is a rated stairwell at that point.
And
But
the entire hallway is rated.
Say that again, sir?
Say the entire second floor corridor hallway is rated. So that entire envelope is enclosed.
So that portion from the third floor unit to the exterior stair, that half a level down, is rated. So that's the determination, is the portions that are provided, and the appellant and Mr. Bickerstaff can communicate to. I mean, ultimately what we're looking for is what keeps this from being a serious, well, what makes it a serious hazard or what does not.
So, Mr. Chair, that would be what, based upon appellant's statements in the appeal statement, they're stating, and Mr. Bickerstaff can say, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but that is what you are, the nuts and bolts of this appeal is you're appealing the determination of an unsafe hazard.
Correct. Seeking the variance thereof.
So you're seeking a variance to that?
Yes.
I have some questions.
Yes.
In the Ohio Building Code, under the 903.2.8 requirement for Group R to have automatic sprinkler systems, the exception actually lists 7 conditions, 2 which we've already talked about. The first, that the building is limited to a basement and 2 stories above grade, which obviously this building does not meet that exception. The other we've already discussed is that the exit is constructed as an exterior stairway, which we've already reviewed. Item number 4 we have not talked about, and I have a question. Item number 4 reads, 2-hour fire barriers divide the building into fire areas with a maximum of 2 dwelling units per floor and not more, which is fine. So I don't see anywhere in your documentation, in the construction documents, that shows that the floor separating the first from the second and the second from the third is a 2-hour rated assembly. Do you have documentation that shows that?
I believe we provided a detail, but I'm sure we add 2 layers of fire rated gypsum board on the ceilings of each during the construction process. So that would have been an amendment. But to your point though, about 903.2.8, from our interpretation, it basically clearly indicates that the exception basically is permitted where the unit is permitted to have a single exit. So that's where we really have a sticking point, because we have multiple exits. You can see in the front elevation, we have 2, and we have the exit on the second level. So there's, in essence, 3 exits.
So, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Bickerstaff, I will opine on that, and I apologize to all, but because of the nature of this, I've got to also make sure that, you know, our record is clear, so that if I do have to defend this further, because the code is clear on what the building department has to do once, you know, once a plan approval is issued, it is considered a license to build, and short of a serious hazard, you know, we have to accept that. But to Mr. Bickerstaff's point, that section of 903.2.8, that is a requirement that it also be an area or space that only requires 1 exit. This project was reviewed, and the configuration of the units and the occupant load does only require one exit under 1006 of the building code. So it meets that requirement of a space that only requires one. That is not to say that, the exception is only for space, is only if you have one exit, you have to do these things. I hope that made it clear. Now, that being said, the fact that there are multiple exits from a space that only requires one exit under 1006, those are additional mitigating factors as to whether or not this condition is a serious hazard. And then I don't believe the plans that have been presented, are those our stamped plans, Mr. Bickerstaff?
Correct.
Okay, because the ones I'm looking at from our approval portal, bear with me while I find the page number. So page 5, it shows the layout of the 4th floor unit, or the unit number 4 on the 3rd floor.
Mm-hmm.
It is properly labeled as proposed 3rd floor.
Okay.
Which I believe that was an earlier adjudicated item where
Gotcha.
that was corrected. So our plans do show proposed 1st floor, proposed 2nd floor, proposed 3rd floor plan. And I'm looking for the details regarding the separation of the floor. I don't know that they're in the approved plans or if they were made with as an addendum. To answer Mr. Ross' question. So that's where it is.
One more comment from the appellant, Michael Nance here. I didn't mean to suggest that our spending money in any way entitles us to avoid the requirements of the building code, but just to say that we've tried our best in our understanding to follow the requirements and the approved plans. Our hope would be that we could find some accommodation short of sprinkling this whole building, whether that is putting in an exterior stair, providing a means of egress from the 3rd floor, putting in a step near the dormer, and a means of getting either to the exterior stair or onto that deck out the back. So you come down from the back dormer, you're on, if there's a step there, you can get out. If there's then you can be on the roof of the back portion of the home. And then you can either have a stair to get you down to the back stair or onto the back deck. I think those would be reasonable accommodations. I'm talking about in terms of expense and the fact that there are people living in the building that we could easily adopt. I'm not sure if that, goes far enough and gives the fire department enough comfort there.
I think that's something that you have to talk about the fire, but I don't think that Ms. Lipscomb was done with her comments.
Yeah,
yet.
actually,
I'm gonna go back to her.
I'm not done. I agree with the comments that were just made about the reasonable accommodations. I agree in light of the fact that if this were a Chapter 34 renovation, then all sorts of accommodations would be applicable, though the many accommodations that have been incorporated into the design, but it's not a Chapter 34 renovation. It's a new build, so it has to comply with the Ohio Building Code. It's not, in toto. And back to the 2-hour floor construction, 2 layers of Type X chipboard
Insulation.
And insulation does not constitute a 2-hour assembly. in a horizontal application. Furthermore, once you have a 2-hour floor assembly, your exit that is penetrating the floor assembly also has to be 2 hours. It's not required to be greater than 2 hours, but it has to protect the horizontal separation. And you've already stated that exit enclosure is 1 hour, so that would also not comply. So of the 7 requirements that must be met in order to not sprinkler an R2 building, I believe there are 3 of the 7 that have not been met. And that is, you need to sprinkler the building.
Okay, any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a couple of comments. So, to the first point, this is an existing building. It's not a new build. So, as an existing building, it is regulated by Chapter 34 of the Ohio Building Code, not as new construction. Whether or not the 3412 risk evaluation was done was really what I was saying. Not that it doesn't, this fully falls under Chapter 34. I would, and for that being said, so reading through the exception, looking through the, so yes, a 2-hour separation is required. So I would say this is not a request for a variance from sprinklering the building, because this is not an adjudication under a plan review. This is an adjudication under for a plan review that has been issued. So for our purpose, the board, what the Department of Building and Housing would require the building, from the plan of, or the building official's perspective, is that the board determines that it is a serious hazard for this specific building with the specific conditions provided, that it is a serious hazard for it not to be sprinkled. That's the determination that I will need out of the board, that it constitutes this specific build constitutes a serious hazard for it not to be sprinkled. Now, I agree that the code requires it to be sprinkled. It should have been sprinkled. When I issued the plan approval and we completed the review, we issued it in error. The code does, the code specifically speaks to that, is that once a license to build is issued and they construct the property, when violations or non-conforming issues are found and they are a serious hazard, an adjudication order will be issued, and compliance will be sought, or a variance, or it's not even a variance, I think, and that's up to the appellant to determine if they're looking for a variance from sprinklering, or I was under the impression this was a hearing to determine, basically disagreeing with the serious hazard declaration. And I'll leave that to the appellant to clarify which of those things they're asking for, I suppose.
And based upon that, Mr. Chairman, at the conclusion, the city's going to ask that you uphold the issuance of the adjudication order based upon that finding of a serious hazard unsafe condition as required by OBC, denied the appeal and
See what they have to say just before they vote.
If they choose to make submission after that for any of those suggested, corrections, I guess you would say, or resubmit for various things, in mitigation to sprinkling would be a separate, review and matter between the building department and appellant, but that would be what the city asks at the conclusion of this. Thank you.
Okay, and I think that Ms. Lipscomb has brought up a couple of points that that kind of throws it into that category of being, serious because it is deficient in some areas. But those are things that maybe they can correct and they can redo going back and working with fire. There may be another route around it. Okay, that's going to be up to them to do. I will ask the board and the members to comment any further on whether this does consider to be a high-risk situation and that they're more in favor of wanting to uphold the adjudication order. So, Ms. Lipscomb?
I'm sorry, the question is, do I have further questions or
No,
do
no,
I
well-
agree that it's a hazardous situation?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure you do, but you go ahead. If you have further questions or if you want to state that, go ahead.
I do not have further questions. If there weren't a occupiable third floor, then I would have no concerns. But there is intended to be an occupied third floor, and so yes, I have grave concerns about that.
Okay, very good. Mr. Dank? He was there with us a bit ago.
Okay, are you talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I had an interruption.
Okay.
I'm wondering, Mr. Chairman, if this were to be tabled until our next meeting, if that would be instructive for the park and they could consider a Chapter 34 exercise or more positive remedies to the situation. Would that be helpful to?
Mr. Vanover?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any objection to that. I do have a couple of comments just to make sure that we're all on the same page. This is a building department issue with as a plan approval from the Department of Building and Housing under the Ohio Administrative Code. The fire inspectors conduct our final inspection, so they are advisory. But I want to make sure that the appellant and that the board is aware that any resubmissions or changes, that is a building department submission. It's not a
okay.
It's not
very
fire
good.
Department. I'd also like to say, I mean, if I think tabling it would be beneficial, but I believe there's more guidance from the board, aside from the fact that the letter of the code requires it to be sprinkled, we've already conceded to. What makes this structure a serious hazard, specifically this structure, as opposed to any other structure that is similarly configured and not sprinkled?
Yeah, and I think there was a couple of points that Ms. Lipscomb had brought up. And then also there may be the possibility that if there was a total outside staircase to go down, that may make a difference also. So that's something that they can work with. Now, as far as tabling this, I think that we're looking at having to go out to after the holidays. So I believe that the rest of the place is occupied, but I think the third floor is going to have to remain unoccupied. But I mean, those are things that I think that Mr. Bickerstaff, you're going to have to go over and come back to the city with some other proposals because right the way it's currently sitting, I believe it's going to be considered to be unsafe.
Serious hazard determination, Mr.
Serious
Chairman.
hazard. Okay, we're going to call it what it is. Okay, so when can we table this to, I probably have to go back to Ms. Davis.
Mr. Chairman, first, someone's mic is open and we're getting a lot of feedback. So if you're not currently speaking, please mute your mic. Thank you. I believe the next date will be January 18th of 2023 is when we'll resume. If you want to take that until that time, unless the appellant needs more time to make provisions to their plans before coming back before us. Then after that, it will be February 1st of 2023.
Hey, Mr. Bickerstaff, does that make more sense?
Yes, it does. It allows us time to reconvene and actually meet with the city officials to
Good.
make sure we can get this resolved.
You want to go to February 1st or January 18th?
January 18th.
January 18th, okay.
Dan, if I may,
Yes.
I'll just say, we had pre-leased up this unit. And so to the extent it is feasible to move this forward expeditiously, we can bring to bear, our full resources in making whatever structural changes need to be made. We have a team on hand to get that done, but we've kept people waiting now over a month and a half as we've sought to resolve this situation. And after over a year of work on this project. So we'd like to get this resolved sooner than later.
Okay.
So,
I hear you. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, to that point, just so that, again, our record is clear, that the appellant, the offer is to table it until the next hearing, or as the appellant, you have the right to ask for a ruling to follow your next steps in your appeal process, to take it to appeal the decision of serious hazard from the board. Just so that that's
Understood.
clear, and we've said that you get to make that decision, not us.
No, we do want a continuance, but I'm just saying to the next available date.
Yeah, it's January.
Okay, so they're opting for the continuance to January 18th. Is there any questions? Okay, so we're going to table this. I don't think we need to actually vote on that. If we do, then motion to table.
So you're continuing the hearing until January 18th, Mr. Chairman?
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. Okay, so is a motion to table until January 18th?
What is the logic of
starting?
Okay, so move, Mr. Bradley.
Second.
Second, Mr. Dank.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, so 2 weeks notice will be sent out to you, and hopefully you'll be able to get together with the city before all that happens. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll get into our next order. Okay, so we got the approval of, I think we're done with the dockets. We got approval of resolutions.
Yes.
Okay, A 118-22, A 130-22, 131-33, 34, 139, 140, 141, 142, and A 143-22. Motion?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Dank.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. We have approval of minutes for November 9, 2022. Are there any additions or corrections?
No.
Motion?
Move for approval.
Okay, moved by Mr. Dank,
Second.
second by Mr. Bradley.
Ms. Lipscomb,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, are there any further business to come before us?
No.
No, nothing else. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
All right, thank you.